I'm gonna.
And welcome here on May 23rd. Doesn't seem like May 23rd, but doesn't feel like May 23rd here in mid-Michigan, says Chris Young. He's nodding his head. He's a warm weather guy. All 6'10" of him likes warm weather. Am I wrong or right?
I don't mind the cold weather, but I don't like the cold and the rain. Like I don't like it when you can't do anything.
Rain.
Like if it's cold, just be cold. But it's been like that for 5 straight days in EL, man. It's terrible.
Yeah. But we're here in the cozy confines of the StreamYard platform. Here in the
but it is what it is. Hopefully it's getting a little nicer this weekend, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, Mark Dodson also on the panel. He stepped away for a second. Might be you, me, and Steve. And then Jeremy Norquist, I believe, is at the Couple Lansing event, and hopefully he can chime in here. We do have limited time in our recording. We got to be out here pretty soon. And Mark Dodson has his Hail sweatshirt on with the maize and blue.
Yeah, I gotta check. I gotta check with my sources to see what the latest might be on Mel Tucker.
So Mel Tucker could be a topic of discussion. Is that right? But I think Chris in our
you got an inside scoop on Mel Tucker?
Yeah,
I'm about to find out.
Okay, so
in the meantime, though, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's get into the as CY called it, the 800-pound gorilla in the podcast, if you will. 2 weeks away from this committee, NCAA committee meeting, whatever, trying to render a decision with the University of Michigan on the signing scandal, for lack of a better term. So, Mark, you let's just be real, you're our ultimate insider on that. I know you hate to have that term tagged with you. Maybe the pressure involved with that, but I'm going to tell you my insider. So, what is the latest, and maybe put some of these links that are flying around here, they're Ohio State University based. Maybe keep those in perspective too. What's the latest?
The latest is relative to how people have been paying attention in the first place. What the latest to me is Michigan. There have been 2 recent submissions updating prior submissions, and the NCAA has responded to those submissions. Who originated or initiated the updated brief in response to allegations, nobody knows. Because we got Michigan in play, we got Sharon Moore in play individually, we've got Jim Harbaugh in play individually, we've got Connor Stallions in play individually, we've got Denard Robinson in play individually, and we've got Chris Partridge in play individually. So any of those entities could have submitted the most recent documents to the NCAA in response to the notice of allegations, to which the NCAA responded. The hearing is scheduled for 2 weeks. Again, in line with what I just said, any of those or all of those entity and individuals could be participating in the hearing, unless there's a negotiated agreement prior to that. Now, the only thing we know, I think we spoke about it a little bit in our last podcast, was the suggestion that Michigan was going to impose penalties on Sharon for 2 games. Now, whether or not that's connected to a negotiation with the NCAA, nobody knows. My sense is, or whether or not that's strategic by Michigan to set up the possible lawsuit in the event that the NCAA decides to come off that, or Michigan's just trying to curry favor with the committee by saying we'll self-impose. Nobody knows. What happened last time was there were suspensions in 23. We didn't know we didn't know exactly what they were related to. We certainly didn't know that was part of a negotiated resolution with the NCAA at the time they were imposed. That might be what is going on here. Michigan may have come to some kind of agreement with the NCAA. We won't know exactly if that was indeed the case, until the NCAA wraps up all the matters and they issue their final report.
Yeah, you know, Chris, I want to get your opinion on this, and then I'll have Mark chime in on it as well, because this is my, you know, Mark just talked about, you know, the 2-game suspension of Sharon Moore. The problem I have with that is if you're trying to do that to be in good graces or whatever, or you know, step forward that, hey, we'll take this penalty, whatever, or 2-game suspension. I wouldn't be selective in it. I would have just said the first 2 games, just like Harbaugh did, albeit New Mexico and Oklahoma. Okay, so you don't get to go against your alma mater in Norman, Oklahoma. Big freaking deal. I mean, it looks like you're trying to get, you know, it. I don't know. What's your feel about that? I had a difficult time with that part of it.
Yeah, when that was announced, I was kind of surprised that they kind of cherry picked what games they were going to use as a suspension games. Like it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And then the only thing I can think of is, okay, maybe it's something to do with the Big Ten, not just the NCAA, where it's got to be Big Ten games that that Sharon has to sit out for. So, New Mexico and Oklahoma don't fit the bill. So it's like, okay, we'll keep on moving down the schedule. And maybe these 2 games that he sits out will kind of appease everything. And then, that'll take care of whatever issue they have with the Big Ten and then move on to deal with the NCAA. I don't know. I don't understand the optics of it, but like Dot just said, we're not going to know anything until the NCAA wraps up everything. And then hopefully we'll get a better understanding as to why Michigan selected these 2.
Mark, the thing that Michigan fans and alumni it's haunting them. It's like a black cloud hanging over their head. Like, is the national championship going to be taken away? Are games going to be vacated? Is bowl participation and CFP participation going to be eliminated for the next couple of years? What do you think, in your opinion, are the chances of that happening?
Well, you mentioned 3 things. I'll try to address them in order.
Okay.
This is a matter before the NCAA.
Right.
The CFP has no business there.
Okay.
So they won't be stripping them of the national championship.
Okay.
When it comes to playoffs, and when it comes to appearances in the playoffs going forward, similarly, my response would be the same. That's none of the NCAA's business. I doubt they would go there. When it comes to stripping them, vacating wins, that historically has not been done except in circumstances involving ineligible players. All right. And there's no allegation of that here. With this caveat, allegedly, the allegations involving Denard Robinson involve improper benefits. I don't know to what extent. I don't know what the nature of that is. And I don't know if that perhaps speaks to the possibility of someone being deemed ineligible by virtue of receiving improper benefits.
Okay.
I'll just leave that with that caveat.
Okay.
When it, specifically as it relates to the possibility of games being vacated. I don't know. Now, if it's just based on the Stallion stuff, no. Okay. Which has been one of the prominent narratives that's been carried by mostly haters.
Yeah. No, I get it. And there's a lot of haters. We all live in East Lansing. There's a few haters around us, but they don't talk to me about it. I mean, I don't talk to, Michigan people, right, Chris? Just don't talk to Michigan State people about it. Or do you talk to them about it?
I know I don't.
You don't. How about you, CY?
There's no reason.
Yeah,
like we were just talking about.
Did we talk, honey? Did we ever talk about
recording?
Yeah, my Sparty wife is putting on her Sparty gear, got her Sparty blanket and everything. We don't talk about this stuff at all.
Well, same with me. I got the same setup you do.
Well, and it's because if you talk to an Ohio State fan, if you read any of those message boards, you talk to any Michigan State fan. Oh my God, Michigan's guilty. They need to disband the program. Everybody needs to be locked up, and they go so extreme. You can't have a logical, fact-based conversation with a lot of people about what actually happened and to the severity of it. It's not like Connor was, driving up to East Lansing and breaking into the film room and stealing stuff and doing like
Okay, were there things that were in a gray area? Absolutely. What did he by the strict rules? Did he break the rules? Yes. If you want to go strict, but it's kind of one of those things where everyone's kind of doing it, so it just kind of is what it is. Like I don't have conversations with any Sparties about it. I don't have any conversations with Ohio State fans about it because they just they go way too extreme. It was the same thing with all the stuff was coming on with Juwan about the thing that happened with the coach up in Wisconsin a couple years ago and all that. Oh my God, he should be locked up and this and that and blah blah blah. You can't have a conversation about anything because it's so extreme.
No.
And then you mentioned Israel. You mentioned Mel Tucker, and it's like, oh well, it's not that bad. Oh well, it's not this, and they downplay it. It's like just deal with the facts, guys.
And this is another incident that's revealed just how stupid some people are. Everybody, every football team has somebody designated to try to intercept signals from the opponent. Every team does. Mm-hmm. As a result of that, every team
and that's across every sport.
Every sport.
You don't think that the Michigan baseball team, Michigan State baseball team are trying to steal the signs to know when a guy's going to steal? Yeah.
As a result of that, every team tries to disguise their signals with their signs, their plays when they're coming in.
Mm-hmm.
As a result,
watch a Michigan State Michigan basketball game. Guys bringing the ball up the floor and he's doing like this. Okay, run and play one. Everybody on defense turns around and says they're running play number one, and everybody knows exactly what's going on.
That's in addition to doing your own scouting.
That's
on your own, especially when you play the same team every year for consecutive years, sometimes decades. Michigan's got a ton of film on Michigan State. Mm-hmm. Michigan's got a ton of film on Ohio State, and vice versa. So what teams try to do is if they got any brain power up in the coaching staff, they try to disguise what they're doing. Some of the stuff they'll be able to disguise, some of the stuff they won't. I'm amazed at this notion that we got people at these programs like Michigan and Michigan State that think that, well, Michigan knew our plays. That's the only reason Michigan beat us. How in the heck did Michigan know your plays? And if you want to rely on kind of stallions, looking at having designated and having people go to games in season prior to actually playing these games against the opponent, guess what? As soon as he gets this intel and they play the new game the following week, if anybody has any sense of anything at all, they're not running the same plays from the week before or the season before. They're changing things up, especially if kind of Stallions is in play, which Michigan State knew when they played in 23, which Ohio State knew as far back as 21. This is a joke, especially if your coaches can't beat Connor Stallion. If your coaches can't outsmart Connor Stallion, who sat there and said, if you watch the documentary, he said Ohio State hasn't changed up anything. They run the same process. They've been running the same process for years. I'm sitting there real time watching these guys signaling in plays, and I can tell you right away who the hot person is because they haven't changed up anything. Yeah. Anything. Oh yeah,
Chris?
Man.
Well, and then going back to the Michigan State game, the Michigan State game in 23 up here in East Lansing, that was right when all the Connor Stallion stuff broke and all that. Yeah. Michigan State didn't call in their signs. They didn't have the boards on the side. They didn't have all the.
They did high school. They ran in.
They went to the sideline, whispered in the huddle, and called it. And Michigan still trucked them. So come on, what are we really talking about here?
Yeah. Hey, Mark. One more final question on this. Do you think this is the last stand for the NC2A? I mean, they know they're on life support right now, and maybe this is their last shot.
Michigan
having any relevance? Do you think that's
No. I don't know why you would consider it to be their. What gives you the impression it's their last shot?
Well, I mean, you're starting to think that with this new commission for college football, that it's just common sense. Well, maybe.
Oh, no. Well, let me clarify that. That's just to deal with NIL. That new commission is just to deal with NIL related stuff.
Oh, so it's a one-topic commission?
It's just to deal with NIL related stuff.
Okay.
So they're going to be dealing with. They're going to try to. This NIL is hot right now.
Okay.
And reining in and putting some parameters on that is a major concern, especially coming off the House settlement, which is going to allow for schools to start paying players
right.
for the use of their NIL rights.
Right. With a salary cap and some of the
that's what the commission is for.
Yeah, that's what they're okay. So still, the NC2A has had a reputation of not having any legs to it, right? And it's understaffed and underfunded and all this stuff. And now this has been going on for what, 2 years now, and you just get the feeling that they're dug in, like this is our opportunity. You don't feel
no. Well, the only reason you feel that way is because it's Michigan and you're a Michigan fan. But you got other schools that are getting hit. Yeah. Tennessee took a beating. I think Florida took a beating. Kansas got sanctioned by the NCAA. We've got other schools that have been sanctioned. It just so happens that Michigan cheated. Michigan broke rules back in 23, or excuse me, Michigan broke rules prior to 23 that led to the sanctions with Harbaugh and the coaches being suspended, et cetera, et cetera. And it just so happens it got cracked again, and they got to own that. I don't want to suggest that Michigan hasn't violated some rules here, and the NCAA doesn't have any choice but to go through a process when it comes to what they have determined are violations, and it typically is a drawn out process. The length of this process is not atypical at all. Yeah. It just so happens to be drawn out for Michigan fans because it involves Michigan.
Right. Okay. I want to segue if we could, because I want to get into another topic because I think it's relevant right now. And a topic without as much controversy in Michigan basketball under Dusty Mays. So there's Yaxel Lendenberg. I guess I really don't know how to pronounce his last name. The 6'5" or 6'9", 230-pounder transfer from UAB. Is it that, trying out NBA combine, all this stuff, and you hear back and forth, is he gonna get enough money to stay at Michigan, or is he gonna try to go in the first round? Chris Young, I'll start with you on this topic. I mean, I hear if he comes to Michigan, they're preseason number 4. If they don't, they're preseason number 20. How important do you think he is to this team as far as 2025, 26?
I mean, he's incredibly important, but all this kind of stuff, like we've talked about it at length in the past about, different guys that are coming in, that are coming in the fall, that are, high school seniors that are, everybody's signed and they're coming in. Like, until this guy gets on campus, like, I can't include him on the roster. I can't get too excited about it. Yeah, exactly. He's got other options on the table. And, if he ends up showing up, great. Then preseason number 4, great recruiting class for Dusty, and like big things could possibly happen next season. But until he's on campus and enrolled in class and ready to go and working out with the guys, like, it just kind of is what it is. Get all excited about this guy because he's not a part of the program yet.
Yeah. Mark, you feel the same way?
He's incredibly talented. He can do amazing things. Yeah. But
yeah, I'm a show me do and have been for a long time. I agree with you, Chris. You got to. We hear a whole lot about players coming in, then they show up, and some of them okay, some of them end up doing better than okay, some of them end up doing better than what expectations are. Right now, he's deemed to be the top rated guy in the portal. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, but he hasn't. I don't know how he's played against, and I'm sure somebody has done this work already.
I don't know
how he's played against the big boys. Yeah. And now he's about to play. Now he's about to play with the big boys. So we'll see, man. That dynamic, though, I can tell you, Chris, and maybe you can speak to this too. We have a lot of people thinking that, well, at least some Michigan fans, that are the belief that there is this sentiment among college players that if they come back a year, they can improve enough to make themselves more marketable the following year.
Yeah.
And I just don't see many players working that way. If the NBA comes calling, even if it's second round, early second round, they typically get gone because they're not the NBA. If the NBA does anything good, they do a good job of scouting. He is not going to be a substantially better player next year than he was this year, especially if he's in college playing.
I think that's a way of thinking from 8 or 10 years ago, the pre-NIL, where we lost guys. We lost DJ Wilson, who put together one good tournament, and all of a sudden he goes and he kind of floated on the NBA for a while, and then he was bounced. Like, I think the idea of guys testing the NBA waters and I'm going to stay in because I'm going to get picked up in the second round because I'll sign a $2 million contract or whatever, or you can come back to school, sign a $2 million contract, and still get your money, and then potentially increase your draft status. Look at Jace Richardson right now. Like he was a potential top 10 guy, and he's dropping. So does he come back to school, or does he stay because he's going to make enough money where it doesn't justify coming back to school? And that's what it's all about. It's not about developing. It's not about anything else. It's where are you going to get the money?
Yeah, for some of them it'll be where you're going to get the money. For some of them, they just don't want to be playing. They don't want, college is associated with going to class.
Yeah, go to class.
They don't want to play that game. They don't want to play that.
You're 23, 24 years old. At some point, you say, you know what? I'm done playing kids' games. I'm ready to move on. I'm just done with it. Now, the money might keep some. When you see people coming back for the money, that's mainly because the NBA is not ready for them.
That's right. Yeah, and that's what Rick Pitino says. You can make a lot of money.
That fall into the second round and all that don't, that aren't as good as they think that they are.
Right.
Yeah. It's like with DJ Wilson. He had that one great game against Louisville. Rick Pitino comes out and calls him an NBA player. Boom! He shoots right up with one guy's opinion. It was down in Indianapolis, a game I attended. It's like, wow. A one-game wonder, and you're going, he's not in the NBA now.
Hey man, have I told you the postscript? Have I told you the backstory to that? Have I shared that with you on your podcast? When they played Louisville? Rick Pitino, I'm there with
I saw you there. Yeah.
I'm helping Sam Webb out, and Michigan had just beat Oklahoma State in a great game. Louisville had just beat Wichita State.
Yep.
And I decided I'm going to go to the Pitino press conference just to hear what he has to say about playing Michigan. And the first thing he said was, "I can't stay here long, fellas. Can't answer too many questions because I gotta play against John Beilein, and that's not easy. Yeah. That's not easy at all. He is one of the most challenging coaches. He might be the most challenging coach I've ever coached against.
Yeah.
Fast forward. You watch the warm-ups and you look at Michigan and their guys warming up. You look at Louisville and their guys warming up, and you say, "Oh."
I said the same thing.
No, I haven't watched Louisville all year, but I'm watching them warm up, and I said they got some dudes. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember. That's when I got exposed to Donovan Mitchell. I didn't know who he was.
Oh my
until God. That game, and I'm watching this dude.
Well. I remember him well.
Chris, you know how you just watch some dudes and they just do it. They just do it whenever they want to do it.
Yep.
And I'm watching him getting to where he wants to go every time with ease. No, there was nothing they could do to stop him. He only passed the ball occasionally, which took the pressure off whoever was checking him. Anyway, I don't know if you remember, but Pitino just about blew all his timeouts early in the first half, early. And I'm sitting there once, and Pitino is cussing out his team. He said, "Hey, look, guys, look, we went over this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da." And one of the players said, "Hey, coach, we went over one thing. They're doing something different now." And I said, "Oh, there goes John Beilein." Yeah. He was the master. He was the evil genius.
That goes back to what we were just talking about scouting.
Right.
Pitino was scouting him. Pitino knew whatever sets that Beilein would normally run. And what did Beilein do? He just fine-tuned it.
Well,
But
when
you know,
they-
Well,
Zach
you call it two, and you do something different. You know,
Zach Irvin came up pretty big in that game that maybe Pitino didn't expect, and Derek Walton was Derek Walton. I mean, that was great guard play for Michigan in that
it
game.
was.
I mean, the whole run from the plane crash through the Big Ten tournament
Yeah,
to the
I love that
NCAA
game.
tournament. I mean, that's a story there in and of itself. But
It is.
Chris, that's right. Connor Stallions sat there during his Netflix special and said, I can diagnose what's going on after a series or two. So I'm thinking, okay, Ohio State, Michigan State, etc. They got somebody doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they should be able to sit up there and say, hey, I think they got our plays, whatever that means. I think they got our plays. Whatever leads to that diagnosis, I think they got our plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then those dummies sitting up there saying they got two choices. They can keep running the same stuff, or they can change it up.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Just
like TCU did. TCU leveraged it, with the different plays in disguise.
I mean, that's what you do.
That's why you're a big time coach at a big time program. You know, and Ryan Day this past year we're just going to run the ball because Michigan can't stop the run, and they haven't shown they can, and we're just going to run down the field.
I ain't got no respect for. Oh, speaking of Tucker, look for. There's going to be some action.
We got to wrap it up.
There's going to be some action. I'll just put it that way.
All right.
All right, guys. Hey, CY, Mark Dotson, the Dot Man. Thanks so much, and we'll be connecting the next couple of weeks again as the hearing comes down June 4th and 5th, and prior to that, and other issues involving the University of Michigan. Great job, guys. Down the block.
And let me just say one thing
real quick.
Don't expect anything publicly with regard to a negotiated resolution, specifically when it comes to Sharon Moore. Prior to that hearing. Don't take the fact that you haven't heard anything publicly as an indication that is doom and gloom for Michigan. They don't wrap this thing up until all the matters are wrapped up and they issue their final report.
Okay, there's your last word. Good job, Dot Man. CY. We'll talk soon. Down the block.
Good job, man.
See ya.